Color coordination for the win. Here we are with the Victrix Gambit dual core tournament controller. Long name, but a lot comes with it, and we're gonna get into it right now. Straight out the box, you get a lot that comes with this controller, which I'm actually in love with. It comes with a controller carrying case, and if you know me and you've been watching my videos, I love when it comes with a carrying case. It makes such a big difference. Then you also have a 10-foot cable, a 10-foot braided cable, might I add, USB-C. You also get interchangeable thumbsticks, interchangeable D-pads, interchangeable rings for the thumbsticks, and interchangeable back paddles, which I think is the first controller that I've had on this channel where you could interchange the back paddle. So pretty good, and we'll get more into that later. You also get interchangeable faceplates, and guys, we actually get, we actually get a 2-year warranty on the controller. Since when? Since when? Victrix Gambit, good job on that one. The review ain't over, but great job on that one. Me and my fellow controller enthusiasts appreciate it. Now remember, this controller is a wired only controller, so no wireless. Get that in your head right now. Victrix also claims that this controller is the fastest controller on Xbox. Fastest thumbsticks, fastest buttons, fastest triggers. And they're not lying. The average response time for an Xbox controller is about 7 milliseconds. This controller does 2.4 and 2.1 milliseconds, which is significantly faster than what normal Xbox controllers will do. And I felt it oftentimes when playing multiplayer games. If you're playing like single player, you may not feel it, but in multiplayer games, you know, it's a very snappy, very jumpy, very responsive controller that was extremely surprising to me. But the thing is though, I'm not so sure if the triggers are the fastest triggers out here, because I just finished reviewing the Scuff Instinct Pro controller. Please go check out that video. I think I did a good job. And mind you, if I'm doing a good job right now, please remember to like and subscribe. It does this channel a big favor. I really appreciate it. But I just finished reviewing the Scuff Instinct Pro controller, and with this controller, it has mechanical switches, which make the triggers mouse clicks. And there's really no faster response time than a mouse click, which is about 1 millisecond. So I'm not sure, I don't think that the Victrix triggers are going to be faster than Scuff Instinct Pro triggers, but definitely from a response time for a standard Xbox controller, Victrix is in line. It actually is the fastest controller. Okay, now just to make sure, I did go ahead and test it. And when I use the X input that does measure how fast the response time on an Xbox controller is, I even used this on my how to overclock your controller video. You guys should go check that out as well. When you do it here, you see the millisecond response time isn't quite the 2.1, 2.4 seconds that they were talking about, but it is 3.9 on average, which is much faster than a standard Xbox controller. You'll see right here, when I plug in my standard Xbox Series XS controller, let's do this test again, you'll see that it's closer to 8. So we're talking about half the response time here, which does actually make it the fastest Xbox controller. Now, after holding the controller and playing with the controller, one thing I gotta say is that this controller feels a lot more like a PlayStation 5 controller than it does an Xbox. Now, I just did a review on the Turtle Beach Recon controller, which was a controller that felt like a cross between the PlayStation 5 controller and the Xbox Series XS controller. But this controller almost pretty much feels like a PlayStation 5 controller. You can even see that the build is much more similar. Like, it's very close. Whereas the Xbox controller, you know, you can see that there's a difference. You could definitely see a difference in build. I'll put them more side by side so that you can see, but it feels way more like a PlayStation controller than it does an Xbox controller. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But when I started playing with the controller, it did take a few games to get used to, but you do get used to it, and it's a okay controller by its feel. Not the best feeling controller I ever had, just because it's a little obtuse. Feels more like a PlayStation controller instead of an Xbox, so it's a little all over the place, but the more you play it, 100% possible. Now, as for the touch and feel of this controller, well, there's absolutely no grip. So again, my people with sweaty hands, you're screwed. But the faceplate does feel a little nice, though the faceplate selection is a little redundant. You see they give you a rubber one that's purple, which is cool, and you could just take it off. It's pretty easy to take off, and you can switch it with a more hard faceplate, right? Now, the faceplate, this one comes with a little grip, but nothing to change your day or to change the way that you play. However, it doesn't really make a difference in your playstyle. Like, you might find that the rubber will be a little better than the plastic one. It's really up to you. I play with this one, but I felt no difference playing with this one. I could definitely imagine other people having a different feel, but for me, there was no issue. And on top of that, with this faceplate, the harder one, you will hear your analog sticks. This one, you won't. So once you switch it, you see? See, you can hit it hitting the wall. You can hear it hitting the wall. Once you switch it out, I feel like a NASCAR pit stop. Now, once you switch it out, you see, you will barely hear anything. So I guess if you're trying to be a more quiet gamer, that's possible. It's at your disposal, though. I mean, it's one of those features that are nice but not needed. Now, as for the thumbsticks, they give you one long concave and one short domed. The long concave, it felt too long for me, at least. I actually couldn't believe it. I mean, it's easily the longest concave that I have in my collection right now. It's a very, very long concave. Compared to my other thumbsticks, this thumbstick is like 6'8", and the other ones are like 6'1", 6'2". It's really long. Not gonna use it at all. Too uncomfortable. The extra D-pad that they had was pretty cool, looked very cool, but it felt like a block. I didn't enjoy using it at all, so I just stuck with the regular D-pad that came with the controller. The thumbsticks on the controller are also very snappy. Easily the snappiest thumbsticks of all my controllers. It took a little getting used to, but honestly, I ended up really liking how tight it was. Like, it was very, very good, so that was a bonus. The carrying case is not too bad. It's also pretty cool. It comes with 2 pouches, so there's like a bottom pouch and an inner pouch, which was kind of cool, and I never have a problem having an extra carrying case. Love putting my controllers in them. It feels great. Now, those are all the little things that needed to get reviewed. Let's talk about some of the bigger things at play. So the trigger stops. The trigger stops are very good. Very, very good trigger stops. Gotta say, they're very good. Are they top 3 trigger stops? No, they're not the top 3 trigger stops that I've tried in the last few months of me reviewing controllers. Not at all, but they are worth the money, especially at $99. Very good trigger stops for $99. Definitely top tier trigger stops for $99. So good job, Victrix Gambit, on that. The triggers are a little loud though in comparison to the regular Xbox Series XS controllers, so be mindful of that. But I mean, most people really won't care about sound when they're playing a game. That's who really cares, truthfully. And you get interchangeable back paddles, which is, I don't know if I can really consider it revolutionary, but it is interesting to say the least. You can very quickly switch from a 2-pad paddle to a 4-one, which is really cool. I actually took up the challenge of just using the 4 paddles, which was actually doable. Very doable. This is exactly how you should make paddles if you're going to make paddles. Paddles, buttons, paddles, always should glide along the inside of the controller. I do not understand why anyone does anything other than that. It's crazy, but they glide along the inside, and that it's just very doable. And I was hooping. I was definitely hooping with those paddles, so you gotta respect me. Remapping the paddles is also very simple. All you have to do is hold down the function button and then also the paddle and the button that you want to remap it to at the same time, and you're ready to go. You'll know because the light will blink very quickly 3 times. And that same function button you can use to adjust the game chat volume and the volume of the overall headset using the D-pad. And if you double tap the function button, it automatically mutes the mic, and you'll know because the LED will turn on. So you get a lot of in-controller functions as well, which you know I love, because you don't have to rely on the software, which is a bonus. Also, you are allowed to remap the back paddles to the triggers, which is really cool for those who like to use it like that. Now I'm going to mention something that coming into this review I didn't think it was a big deal, but wow, this controller also touts that it has incredible audio. We're talking about surround sound, up, down, round and round audio. It's called Dolby Atmos, which is supposed to be some type of great next gen type of audio. I'm not an audio engineer. I don't really know all these different things, but those were some of the claims made about the audio of this controller. It actually blew me away. Playing with that controller's audio, hands down, as of right now, my controller collection, the best audio I've ever had on a controller. I did, normally you get good audio from a controller and then you switch to another controller and you may feel a difference, you may not, it's whatever. With this controller, I actually it was so many leagues above the next controller's audio that when I came back to my other controller, I thought there was something wrong with my Xbox. I was like, what did I do? What happened? Victrix, another great job done by you with this controller. Great audio. Quick disclaimer, I don't want to build it up to make it seem like it's some type of incredible sound experience. I genuinely couldn't measure that. I'm just not there yet in terms of my knowledge with audio. But you could really hear the difference. That was my experience. Let me know if you get this controller, please let me know what you guys experienced. I just want to know if I'm crazy or not, because it was different. And also, since it's a wired controller, understand you're going to need a wired headset, so no Bluetooth here, just for those who don't know. On the controller as well, the option, share, and menu button are really these black buttons here, which at first seemed weird, but it's actually my favorite part of the controller. It's just large buttons that I've always felt should be this size on an Xbox controller. You see, with the Xbox, you get these little buttons that you have to like quick scope to hit them. But here you get large, big buttons that you can just move your finger over to and press. I thoroughly enjoyed having those buttons at my disposal. Plus, they also feel nice. They come rigid, so it felt really nice. All right, so boom, here we are in the app. As you can see, you are able to control your volume. There's different audio mode settings, so you can tell like what type of EQs you want. You can adjust vibration, mic monitoring, game chat balance. It's definitely very into it. You can also remap any button on the controller, which is really cool. And you can remap the back paddles as well, even though there's an in-controller way to do it, but you can use the software here as well. Then you have analog stick controlling. You can affect the dead zones and the sensitivities, the invert, all that stuff. Dead zones for the triggers as well. You have audio, again, you can mess with that, and you have vibration. So pretty in-depth software for the controller. Not bad, about as good as any other software that you'll get for a controller on Xbox. Overall, what is my rating for this controller? This is a very good controller. First off, most of what you determine a controller by is its feature to price ratio, right? You can't be charging me $200 for a controller that is barely better than a standard Xbox controller, right? Now, if you are charging me $100 for a controller that is substantially better than an Xbox controller, I'm going to rate it at a very high level. And that's what we got here with the Victrix Gambit. They give you just about anything that you could ask for. They give you trigger stops, they give you back paddles, they give you, in my opinion, and I think actually factually, great audio with the controller. They give you interchangeable thumbsticks, interchangeable rings, interchangeable D-Pad, interchangeable faceplates, a carrying case, all for $100. It's almost insanity. I'm thinking, is the CEO okay? Like, do they know what they're doing here? They gave a lot for free. But no, like, I think the only thing that they didn't give us was grip and wireless. That's it. So for a $100 controller, this is crazy good. Like, crazy. This is not going to be my favorite controller. I'll tell you this right now. In terms of quality and overall play, this just isn't going to be my favorite controller. I still have the Scuff Instinct Pro ranked higher. I still have the Elite Series 2 ranked higher. But if I didn't have too much money, and I don't, but I am doing this channel, so that's why I do this. But if I was more hard pressed for money, this would be the controller I buy. This would be the controller I recommend for those in the same situation as I in the theoretical situation I brought up. If you only got $100 and you want a pro controller, a controller that's dope, a controller that comes with a lot of features, that takes you to another level, and on this channel, we are all about taking things to another level at a reasonable price point, this is the controller I would recommend. It's an incredible controller. Nothing much else that I can say about that controller. So please, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take me to another level. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. It's all I ever asked for. Chukavelli came in, and Chukavelli is now leaving the building. Enjoy your day, guys. Have a great one. Peace, man.